My name is Olivia. When I was 16, my parents told me they wanted us to take a relaxing family vacation. Just the three of us. No little brother, no work calls, no distractions. I thought they were joking, but when they booked tickets to Italy, I believed them. "This will be a fresh start," my mom said, her voice light as air though her eyes didn't meet mine. I wasn't a perfect daughter. I failed science, got into shouting matches with classmates, and had a few run-ins with the principal. But I never imagined those things would be enough for them to take me across the world and vanish. The trip started like a dream. Rome glowed in golden sunlight. Cobbled streets stretched endlessly, and the gelato melted like magic. We took pictures at the Trevi Fountain. My mom hugged me gently from behind while my dad held the camera. For once, we looked like a family, healing. That morning, we had breakfast at a cafe under our hotel. Dad ordered espresso. Mom picked a pastry and wore her brick-red lipstick, only for special occasions. I texted my best friend back home. "It's okay. I think they're really trying." Then my mom said, barely above a whisper, "Let's take a walk. Pick up a few souvenirs. Just 15 minutes. I nodded. I didn't think twice. But 15 minutes turned into an hour, then 2, then 3. No texts, no calls. No one came back. When I asked the front desk about my parents, the receptionist looked confused. "They checked out this morning." I froze. My key card didn't work. A staff member helped open the room. It was empty. No luggage, no clothes, no trace I had ever been there. My phone battery was dead. No passport, no cash. Even my backpack had vanished without me noticing. I collapsed in the hallway. Every call I made to my parents went straight to voicemail. My texts got no response. That night I slept on a bench at the train station. The wind bit at my face. Every whistle slashed through my thoughts. They hadn't just left me, they had erased me. The next morning, I found a folded note in my jacket pocket, written in my mother's handwriting, "You're 16, old enough to survive." No apology, just that. I wandered the streets of Rome, ducking into alleys trying to hide from the world. Nights were spent curled on benches. Hunger scraped at my insides. By the third day, everything tasted like bitterness. I passed a bakery on Via Merulana. The smell was unbearable. Fresh baguettes cooled on the sill. I reached for one, but a hand caught my wrist. "Trying to steal?" a firm voice said. I froze. A woman in her 60s with snowy hair and a flour-speckled apron stood in front of me. She looked right through me. "Hungry?" she asked. I nodded. "You take bread, you wash trays, until I can see my reflection in them." Her name was Marta. She owned Forno di Marta for over 30 years. No husband, no kids, just a cat named Espresso and hands tough from baking. That night, I scrubbed trays until my arms ached. When I finished, she led me upstairs. Old mattress, thin blanket, not fancy, but better than the street. She never asked why I was alone. Maybe she already knew. The next morning, she gave me a warm croissant. Eat, then learn to shape dough. And so I did. By day, I cleaned and baked. By night, I studied. I found an old laptop near the trash, fixed the charger with tape, and connected to Wi-Fi from a nearby cafe. I studied for the GED using free prep sites. A year later, I passed. I dove into finance, learning from YouTube videos and blogs. I made my first investment using saved coins and a borrowed prepaid card. The stock doubled, then tripled. Half. The profit bought a new espresso machine for Marta. The rest, I saved. Marta noticed the change. "You walk like you know where you're going," she said. I opened my own online consulting service under the name Livia Consulting. I helped students, tourists, undocumented workers. I showed them how to budget, open digital accounts, and find online income. Payment wasn't always money. Sometimes pizza. Sometimes a thank you note. Each month, I anonymously donated to youth programs back in Ohio. No name, just from someone who survived. Marta never asked, but she knew. When I turned 19, I bought my own laptop. I studied contracts, investments, and optimization. I helped Marta upgrade the bakery, fixed broken pipes, and installed a new camera after a break-in. She smiled when I gave her a smartphone with a speed dial labeled Livia. "This old lady doesn't get apps," she said, "but she knows how to say thank you." One day, Marta placed a newspaper on the counter. A tiny real estate listing was circled. She didn't say anything, just looked at me and smiled. I understood. I wasn't the girl they abandoned in Rome. I was the woman who built herself up again. And now it was time to step into a future no one else had planned for me. Bolded in the real estate section was a listing. Foreclosure property. Lakefront. Lot, Westwoods, Cincinnati, Ohio. Auction at end of month. I looked closer. Every number, every letter carried weight. I'd written that address on hundreds of school forms. I knew every crack in the driveway, every creaky hinge that groaned in the wind. It was the house my parents bought after they abandoned me in Rome. The house they posed in for online photos captioned "Fresh Start," grateful for the peace life has given us. Now that house was facing foreclosure. I sat in silence. Not because I was sad, but because the world had just handed me back a key I thought I'd lost, a key to something that had never really closed. "What are you going to do?" Marta asked, eyes sharp like she could see straight through me. I didn't answer. But that night after the oven cooled, I opened my laptop and began researching the auction. No one could know who I really was. If they recognized me, everything could fall apart. I registered under Livia Consulting using perfectly legal documentation. The business account was ready, the funds were ready. Not the wealth of tycoons, but enough, thanks to years of cautious investing. Everything was arranged. Quietly, I booked my first flight to the U.S. in 4 years. On the plane, I didn't sleep. I stared out at the clouds, understanding now. I wasn't returning. I was coming back, but in a different role. The auction took place in a cold parking lot outside the county administration building. Marta stood beside me, steady as ever. I whispered numbers, and she raised the paddle. Each time she did, a middle-aged man, likely a broker, glanced at us, confused by the unfamiliar faces. When the gavel came down, the house was ours. I didn't smile. I didn't exhale. I just stared at the confirmation. The address they once called home was now under the name of the company I built from the wreckage they left behind. It wasn't revenge. It was closure. "You could have walked away," Marta said as we left, "but you looked it in the eye. That's the difference between running and continuing." I nodded, because I knew. The hardest part was just beginning. The meeting was set at a quiet real estate office. Private, no gossip. Only my attorney knew my real identity. I arrived early, composed, in a charcoal suit. I waited alone, sipping water, listening to the clock tick. Then the door opened. My mother walked in wearing oversized sunglasses and that chin-high posture of fading control. My father followed with a worn leather folder, head low. They didn't recognize me. I removed my glasses. My mother flinched. My father looked down. "We've met before," I said. "In Rome. When I was 16. My mother swallowed hard. We thought it would be easier for you. We thought if we disappeared, you'd hate us less." I tilted my head. "So you left me? No money? No passport?" Just a note that said, "Old enough to survive." I slid the deed across the table. "I'm the one who bought your house. You have 30 days to leave." "You can't do this," she whispered, now crying, but not from regret, from fear. Can't I? I said. I waited for you to come back. You never did. I don't need an apology. I need closure. Marta walked in, placed a folder on the table, and gave a cool nod. Move-out schedule will be sent tomorrow. If you need relocation help, our company can refer someone. My mother sobbed. We're family, Olivia. I stood. Family doesn't leave their child alone in a foreign country and vanish. You made your choice. This is mine. I walked out. Less than a week later, the posts started. My mother's words shared on social media. She's been poisoned by money and power. She came back to steal our home. We just wanted her to grow strong. Now she's a stranger, cold and cruel. Hundreds of comments followed. Judgment, sympathy, outrage. I didn't respond. Instead, I renovated the house. The house that once symbolized betrayal became something new, a safe space for girls who had been abandoned like me. I named it Second Light. The walls were painted calming blue, the cold furniture replaced with warmth and softness. The live Laugh Love sign was swapped for one that read, "You were not made to be invisible." The master bedroom became a dorm-style space, 2 bunk beds, lockboxes, new linens. Marta, now called Mama Marta by the girls, taught them to bake. But more than that, she taught them trust. Our first group, Jaime, 17, Asha, 18, Zoe, 15, each with stories too heavy for one heart to carry. We ate together on Saturdays, no phones. Just food, silence, and slowly laughter. I watched Zoe leave toast and a note for Jaime. In case you're hungry tonight. No one was forced to talk. They were simply given the choice. I kept consulting online. The income-funded Second Light, job training, courses. Every girl who arrived was taken to what used to be my bedroom. Now, it held a small office and reading nook. I pointed to a sign above the shelves. We don't promise to replace your family, but we will not disappear. Then I offered pajamas, slippers, and a choice. Sleep or talk. It didn't